Hello, everyone. I am Kiana Hooker, but I've already said too much about myself. You, you are all here to listen to what Grace has to say, but before that, I should let you in on a little secret. Let me set the scene. It was freshman year. Grace and I were in Dr. Alexander's A-Lab, and it just so happened that on this particular day, I was bored and had nothing better to do. So I looked to my left, and what do I see? Grace on their laptop. I saw that Grace was playing a game, and as I was bored, thought it looked fun. So I asked what the game was. Big mistake. The game, if you're wondering, is called Octagon, which most of you probably already know. But if you don't, it's just a game where you try to get a ball to the finish line, but you have to keep it on the platforms using the arrow keys. Long story short, I am terrible at this game. Grace was so kind as to first off teach me the game, but to also get me past level 1. But you are here to listen to what Grace has to say. So without further ado, I give you Grace Dominique Kavanaugh Day.
One of the earliest memories that I have with my little brother is the two of us at ages 4 and 7 fighting over a piece of trash. Now, of course, with no context, this seems silly, but let me set the scene. You and your family are on a vacation in the Dominican Republic on a very hot day. You and your little brother both have fudge pops out by the pool before you both decide that it's time to get in the water. What do you do with your unfinished popsicle? You set it on the wrapper, right? Well, I, of course, being the intellectual 7-year-old I was, didn't throw my wrapper away, whereas Michael had. Now, this is when Michael starts saying that he hadn't, in fact, thrown his away, but there was clearly only one wrapper, and one of us had made the mistake. It wasn't me. This is how we got to arguing about trash. I don't remember how this argument ended, however, a lot of our silly arguments ended us both laughing at how stupid we sounded, so I'd like to think that is what happened. Michael and I are both adopted, and while I'd love to tell you that story, I'm choosing not to do so in this speech. Rather, I'm going to tell you how I found my inner child. Michael and I have a very close relationship. Out of the two of us, Michael has always been more adventurous and outgoing. I might crack a joke and play around, but Michael would flip off the furniture and do parkour around the premises to get your attention. Even though Michael is the youngest out of the two of us, I used to always want to do things with him. When I wanted to try something new, I wanted him to do it first. A recent example of this is when Michael and I went jet skiing. A motorcycle-type contraption on the water? I think not. At least not by myself. Michael and I got on, with him as the driver, maybe not the best idea, and we started out going slowly. This is when Michael said, "Hold on tight." 3 words I never thought I'd be so scared to hear as he hits the gas and we are launched across the water. Both of us scream, but end up letting out the biggest laughs. 10 out of 10 do recommend for sure. Now, Michael wasn't always the easiest person to have as a sibling. One time, when I had my friend over, Michael got upset and hit me upside the head with an American Girl doll. He could be, and still is, sometimes difficult, but despite his challenges, I love him more than anything. My whole life was shaken when I found out that Michael had to leave. We couldn't help him enough with his behavior and mental health at home, so he was placed in schools and programs that would help him more. This all started when I was at the age of 12, a time of growing and developing. When Michael left, however, I didn't feel like myself. I wasn't whole, and I hadn't found myself yet. Michael really brought out the inner child in me, which is something we all possess. I started to shut my inner child down and didn't show my true self to those around me. I'm not going to go into detail, but I needed to reach out for help. Now, some of you may know I have gone to this school since I was a pre-kindergartner, but I left for about a year and a half after the first semester of sophomore year. I also need to go somewhere to get extra support. After a couple of programs, I went to a boarding school for a year where the focus was on mental health and healing. One of the ways we learned about ourselves was through archetypes. Whether it comes to ads, movies, religions, etc., archetypes are a part of this world. The boarding school I went to focused on the 4 main feminine archetypes, which include the maiden, the mother, the queen, and the wise woman. The maiden archetype was the one I connected with the most and also needed the most help finding within myself. We learned about the maiden through Moana. You know, I've been standing at the edge of the water type beat. When I found out we were going to be talking about Moana, I freaked out. Moana has to be one of my favorite Disney movies. I know all the songs, and I love the characters and archetypes represented. Like Moana, the maiden archetype is known for independence, curiosity, optimism, and young, light energy. That is what I had lost. my hope and positivity, and my inner child. After a couple of programs, or after being at the boarding school, my peers, my family, and my mentors, I was able to shed light on my inner child. And this time, I didn't need Michael to show me because that's who I possess for myself. As I've adjusted to being back at St. Mary's, my classmates have helped me feel more comfortable in showing my inner child. By letting our maiden and inner child out to play, we are fulfilled with a joy and a passion for life, which can get blurry sometimes. I want to encourage you to find the simple joys in life and remember that your inner child is not someone to be ashamed of. Rather, let your inner child lead you in a fun, adventurous, and beautiful life. I'll admit, bursting out into song or blurting out my thoughts at random may be obnoxious at times, but I appreciate each of you for being able to laugh with me as I let my inner child, my maiden, run free like I have been scared to do for so long. Thank you.